Good morning, everyone. Leslie Myrick here, interior designer and business coach with Nancy Quinn. It is Makeover Monday, Monday Makeover with Robin White of RDW Design Studio. I love these web audits that we do, these little mini website makeovers, Robin. So thank you for joining us again today.
So happy to be here. I love doing them as well. They're super fun.
So today we get to dive into a designer's blog. Before we do that, I just want to put it out there. If you have a page on your website that you would love Robin's eyes on, we are looking for volunteers for future Monday Makeover episodes. Please reach out, leave a comment. This is a free chance to have a website expert give you personalized feedback on your website. So jump on this. This is a great opportunity. And I think they're more valuable when we have real designers' websites to critique, and we're not, and I don't say critique as in the negative, but you know what I mean. And we're not just sort of talking about abstract website stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, especially since designers are visual. So this way we can
Yes.
show you what we're talking about, which I think is really helpful.
Yes, we can. So today we are going to be looking at Ashley Morgan Interiors blog. So let me pull that up and share it. And Robin, you let me know what you want to see, and we will talk about this beautiful blog here.
Fabulous. Yeah. And first of all, thank you very much, Ashley, for volunteering and letting us look at your website. And I chose Ashley's blog to look at because I think blogging is a really hot topic. There's a love-hate relationship with it. You know, some people are like, yes, I want to blog. I love blogging. I love writing. It's great for SEO. And some people just absolutely hate it. And the thing is, there's no right or wrong.
Well, I hear a lot like blogging's dead. No one reads blogs anymore.
Blogging's not dead for sure. And it is actually a really important thing if SEO is a part of your marketing strategy. I also think that it can be a really worthwhile thing to do if you're looking for a way to repurpose content. You can blog, and out of that blog, you can probably get an email newsletter. You can probably get 4 to 6 social media posts out of it. So if creating content and content repurposing is something that's important to you, then blogging can be really helpful. But for SEO purposes, blogging is almost a must-have. And the reason is there are certain things that we can put in blog content that doesn't belong on the pages of your website. So for example, if you offer full service interior design and your services page is talking about full service interior design, you're kind of speaking generally about that. So kitchen design or kitchen remodeling or kitchen renovations is a part of that. The way to get that across and try to rank for that type of keyword phrase is through a blog post about kitchen design or kitchen renovations or kitchen remodeling. You're not really going to rank for that on your general full service services page, right? So you want to think about it in terms of the types of keywords that your ideal clients might be searching for and how you can potentially rank for those in a blog post in a way that it just doesn't fit in on a page of your website, right?
That's great advice. Yeah, because you want your services page to be clear and communicate, but if you put in every single thing you did or could do or who you serve or where you serve it, that page is going to get nuts.
Right.
So a blog's kind of like a sneaky way to get in there into Google. Be like, hey, this is I do this too. Check me out.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that's super important is Google, I would say maybe 2-ish years ago or so, came out with something called EEAT. And that is, I'm going to look at my notes here, expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness.
Ooh,
and
okay.
Those 4 things are what Google's looking for in the content on your website. And blogging is a fantastic way to get that EEAT across to Google and to the visitors of your website. So, and you want to use all 4 of those components. So experience. We want to show that your content's created by people with direct firsthand experience with the topic. That's you, the interior designer, right? You are the experienced interior designer. Expertise, you want to demonstrate your subject matter expertise through the depth and accuracy of your content and author credentials, right? So that it's a real person who's writing these blog posts. You're showing your authoritativeness. You're building your brand's authority by consistently publishing high quality content, right? And then trustworthiness, you're being transparent about who's behind your content. This is why authorship is so important. So a blog is really how you're going to get that EEAT across to Google and to your website visitors in a way that it's much harder to do if you just have pages on your website.
So basically a blog is easy, and it makes the Google gods happy and shows that you are awesome at what you do. Therefore, it will show you higher and better and faster in Google search results.
Exactly.
Fabulous.
So let's take a look at Ashley's blog page. And this is her obviously main blog page where all of the posts are located. And the first thing I would just love to congratulate Ashley on is in her main menu at the top of her page, she calls it blog. Thank you so much for being very clear about that. I see diary, style diary, thoughts, all these sort of like obscure but creative ways of calling something a blog. In your main menu, call it a blog. It's the convention. It's what everybody knows. If you want to get creative, call it something else on the actual page, but please call it blog in your menu. So if somebody's searching for it, they can find it and they know just what it is. Ashley goes right into her posts, which is absolutely fine, but sometimes it can be nice to put a little sentence or two at the top of the page just to let people know what they can expect from your blog post, what you're going to be sharing in your blog post, things like that. And something else that can be helpful is to also have possibly a list of the categories that your posts are broken down into. So sometimes people do categories. You can dive even deeper and do tags. I don't always recommend tags. I think that can get a little too nitty gritty, but categories can be really helpful. And it can be something like design, remodeling, tips, projects, sort of big overarching themes.
So those really aren't for SEO. Like no one's going to be Googling like projects and get to you, but it's really more for the user experience, which if people stay on your website and your blog longer, that's a thumbs up.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like how you would organize file drawers in your file cabinet. So
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, it's a way for visitors to find what they're looking for easily. So if somebody was just interested in tips, they could click on the tips category and it would bring up all of the posts that were tagged or categorized as tips, right? So this is helpful if you have been blogging for years and years and years and you have hundreds of blog posts. It would be very difficult for people just to go through and find what they're looking for by date. So sometimes categories can be very helpful.
Awesome.
Okay. I like the layout that Ashley's chosen here. She's got a nice featured image. She's got good font hierarchy with the title and then the little bit of excerpt in between. One thing I'm noticing is she's very active with her blogging. You can see her last post was only 5 days ago. And then the one before that was probably 2 weeks before that. So that's fantastic. And then I highly recommend, like Ashley's doing, showing the publish date here. If you're like me and you haven't blogged in about 2 or 3 years, I have removed the publish date so it doesn't look like it's this completely inactive area of my website. And I treat it more as like evergreen content, let's say. But it is helpful to have a publish date. So if you are active in blogging, definitely do that. Metadata that I might suggest Ashley remove is what's at the very bottom below the excerpt, where it shows the number of views and the number of comments. So that isn't necessarily super helpful, especially if you don't have a lot of views. And I find on blogs, comments tend to be mostly spam. So they're not
Correct.
really that helpful. So I might
Do you
actually
think,
suggest
can I ask
removing
about
that.
comments, Robin? Should people just disable them? Like if they're not looking to build that community feeling, is it better to have 0 comments or just not have a comment part on your blog? Any thoughts
I
on that?
think, yeah, I think if you are not looking to build a community through your blog, which most of us aren't, that's not one of the reasons that we're doing it.
Yeah.
And you are getting a lot of spam, and you're not really interested in being active responding to comments, I would disable them. I disable them on my blog. I don't show that metadata at all, so nobody knows whether there have been any comments or not. But I personally don't want to be dealing with spam comments and responding to real comments personally. I'm more active on social media. That's not what my blog is for. So I would say, yes, it's perfectly fine to disable comments. It's a really
That
good
is good
question.
to know. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, if we scroll down a little bit, we can see she's done a really nice job here. I like the fact that the background color is different and then she has a pretty blue framing it. So I think layout wise and design wise, it looks really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then why don't we click over into any one of the posts and we can take a look at the layout of her actual blog post and take a look at that.
That was interesting. I had a hard time finding where to click.
Interesting. So usually what we
Oops,
want
sorry. I don't
is
want to go
for
there.
the image and the title to be clickable. And
That's what I was trying to do, and the image is not clickable. Oh, it
okay.
is. It's just slow. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
my maybe we're just having a hard time here with running on
It's
Zoom.
Monday.
It's Monday.
So this is a nice layout. We can see that she's got the title at the top, and then she has the author set as Ashley Morgan Interiors.
Mm-hmm.
I might actually change that just to her actual name
Okay.
rather than the business name. Again, just for EEAT and that genuine authorship being a person rather than a business. And then she's got the date. It says about how long the read is. Again, I would probably get rid of the next line where it has the heart and the views
Yeah.
and the comments. I just don't think that's necessary. Right below that, those are ways that people can share the blog post. So I think it's always nice to have that either at the top or the bottom of the post. Either one is fine. And then we go into the post and you can see she's got her image and the content. And one thing that I would love to see in the content are more headings,
Mm-hmm.
not just text. Now, a blog post is really different from a page on your website. It's okay for there to be a lot of words, right? It's okay. People are expecting to read, they're trying to learn something, but it can be really helpful to break up the content with headings, subheadings, sometimes bullet points can be helpful as well. And I would say on average, I'd like to see a minimum of 6, 7, 800 words for a blog post.
Okay.
So some posts are going to be on the shorter side, maybe 600, and some posts you might find are 2,500 words, depending on what the topic is, if it's a pillar post or not, things like that. But I think having headings in there can really help people, again, in case they're skimming, find exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah,
And
that's
then,
great advice because I look at this and it's beautiful, but it reminds me of a book page, like in a
yes,
hardcover book, not as much a scannable blog post.
yep, exactly, exactly. And then if we just go to the bottom, something that can be really nice to add here is something about the author. And again, this goes into the EEAT again. So what you can do is there's a couple things. You can actually set up an author page on your website. I know WordPress allows you to do that. I'm not sure what builder Ashley has used and if that's
Okay.
doable on others. But what you can do is just make a little author section at the bottom of each post where maybe there's a small photo of you and a couple of sentences like a bio about you. And then this is actually a great opportunity to then have a button that could link back to your about page where they can find out more
Oh,
about you if
nice.
they
So you're
want to.
building in more backlinks into your website
Internal
too.
linking. Exactly.
Wonderful.
Exactly. And then one thing I would say you always want to do in your blog post somewhere is have a call to action. So you're blogging, you're sharing your authority, your expertise on your subject, but let's not forget, this is still a sales tool, right? You're
Yeah.
still trying to get people to hire you. So have a call to action that takes them to your contact page to fill out your contact form. And sometimes that can be a really nice way to conclude the blog post, whatever you're talking about. So let's say creating spaces for multi-generational living. Are you interested in creating a space for multi-generational living? Reach out
Yeah.
to me for help, and make that clickable and have it go to your contact page so that there's a call to action.
Would you put a call to action in like the little author block too, or just keep that as, oh, you said you'd link to the about page, but
I'd
the
link
call
to
to
the
action
about
would be
page
more
from
in the
there.
content?
Yeah, I'd put that more maybe in the content and just have the text be a clickable link rather than an actual button.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I would say for topics that you're blogging about, something to think about is we don't want everything to be how to do this or how, right? I'm going to guess that most designers aren't looking for DIYers as their ideal clients, right? And
Correct.
how-to posts are going to attract more DIYers. They're also going to send out a signal to Google that you are an expert in interior design. So there is a place for them for
Yeah.
sure. But you do want to make sure that you're writing other kinds of posts as well, ones that are targeted more towards bringing in local leads, right? So thinking about kitchen remodeling in Atlanta, outdoor living spaces in X, right? Where we're getting into local content, thinking strategically, where are your ideal clients a step or two before they're ready to hire you, and blogging about that. So it's really coming up with a very valuable content strategy and not just throwing content out there for the sake of throwing it out there.
That is such a good point, because we all love to write the here's my favorite paint colors or how to choose an area rug, and I've done the same thing. I've created free guides. I've done all the DIY stuff to get views and eyeballs on things. But you're right. Google loves that. You might get some traffic, but if you're using this as a conversion tool to get new clients, you want to be thinking about what is your ideal client searching for on their way to finding you. They're
Exactly.
probably not asking about what your favorite paint colors are. They want to know about the process, about are they making a good investment in their home? What do clients not know that you can use your blog to help educate them?
Exactly. Exactly. And the whole point is, most interior designers are local businesses. So coming up with a local content strategy is what's going to be really important.
I like that.
Trying to rank for kitchen renovation, that doesn't help you, right? I mean, the number of visitors coming to your website truly doesn't matter. It's the number of visitors that are converting, whatever that
Yeah.
conversion is for you. So if you get 1,000 people coming to your website every month and nobody's filling out your contact form, how has that helped you? Whereas if you get 5 visitors coming to your website every month and 3 have filled out your contact form, that's fantastic.
Yep,
Right.
absolutely.
So it's
Robin, can
not
I
a
ask a
numbers game.
question?
Mhm.
Can I ask a question about this related post plugin? I see these on some blogs. Is this something you recommend, don't recommend? Like, I love it because it keeps people in a loop. They read this blog post. They're like, oh, I want to read this blog post. Or is it helpful or not? Is my question about that.
I
What do you
think it can be
recommend?
very helpful for user experience, as can like a previous and next way to navigate around the blog
Okay.
too, so that you don't have to go back out to the main blog page to get to the rest of the post. So yes, this can be very helpful, as can a previous and a next button.
Awesome. Do you have a preference of one over the other, or it's just
I
something
think
to
you can
keep
do
people
both.
going?
I
Okay.
think you can do both.
Cool.
Yep. Yep.
I like.
Absolutely. So I think this is nice. And again, I think that Ashley's done a really lovely job with the layout and the design of
Yeah,
this. I
it's
mean, my
pretty.
only thing is just removing some of that metadata with the comments and the likes and the
Yeah.
views, and adding some headings into the posts themselves.
I
Yeah.
agree. I
Yeah.
mean, everything feels to me very on brand, very like you get a sense of who she is and what she does very quickly,
Yeah,
which is good.
absolutely. Absolutely. So really well done.
Yeah, fantastic. And that's not an easy feat. What you do web designs. It's tough.
It's tough. It is. It is. There's an awful, awful lot to consider to make it all come together and work really strategically. Yeah.
Awesome. We have a couple comments. I'm just seeing if anything is helpful to discuss or a couple questions. Ooh, here's an interesting one, and I don't know if you know the answer. Someone on Instagram is asking how much of an interior design blog's bounce rate is subconsciously triggered by color psychology mismatches between brand and audience persona. Boom, that's a deep
Wow,
question.
that's a really good question. Well, can you
I
read
think there
that
could
one
be
more
a broader look at it of just like, is it always about the content and layout and things, or is there maybe like there's just disconnects with like colors and branding and something like that?
Yeah, so I would say if there's a disconnect between your target audience and your brand, your branding, it's going to affect the bounce rate. It's going to affect everything about your website, not
Yeah.
just your blog. That
Yeah,
is
that's
why
true.
that's why understanding your brand foundations, your mission, vision, goals, your why, who your ideal client is, how you
Mhm.
want people to feel when they interact with your business, why under doing all of that foundational work is so important before you start to do a logo, colors, or fonts, because they're just the visuals of the foundations, right?
Yeah.
So if you go through the proper branding work, your visuals will represent exactly what your brand should be, and there shouldn't be a disconnect.
There you go.
Yeah. If there's a disconnect, it's time for a professional rebrand.
Yeah, I
And
would
I
totally
find a
agree with
lot of
that.
times the disconnect comes because somebody has picked the colors that they like and made those their brand colors. And that's not necessarily what is going to resonate with and attract the kind of clients that you want to work with.
Interesting. So that's definitely a bigger conversation about
Much
branding
bigger
there,
conversation.
but yeah,
Yeah.
but it
A
like
really good question.
yeah, and I think Ashley's like, I think she's nailed it with that. And like, you understand that, her design leans a little more traditional. It's a little more serious and pulled together. So
Yeah.
I think Ashley's done a great job with hers of not having people bounce off because they're like, wait, I thought this was going to be like hyper modern design and you're very traditional and the colors don't make sense.
Exactly.
So it is
Exactly.
something to consider. There's so much to consider, but
So much to consider.
basically,
But you guys know that as designers, colors make
yeah,
you feel a certain way,
they
right? So the
do.
colors that you're choosing to put in someone's room, it's the same way with colors that you're choosing to use for your brand that are going
Mhm.
on your branded materials, on your social media, on your website, right? They're going to make people who interact with your business feel a certain way. And that's why you have to know how you want people to feel and who you're
Yeah.
trying to work with. Some colors are more luxurious, some are more whimsical, right? Different shades, different tones. They're all gonna, and
Yep.
fonts are the same way, right? Some are
Yes.
traditional, some are bold, some are modern. So what's authentic to you and your brand?
Yep. And that's all stuff to consider, but don't get hung up on that right now. Just think about your blog today. Robin, this has been awesome. I think seeing someone's blog that's doing great work is really helpful to know what can work, also to know what to change. Any final thoughts on blogging that you want designers to really hear today?
Yes. The most important thing is to put out high quality, valuable content. Don't just repeat everything that's already out there. Um,
Mm,
Share your perspective. A blog is a place where you can be a little more personal and show a little bit more of your personality, maybe, than you would on a services page of your website.
I like that. So blog is where you can have a little more casual, maybe a little more personality, a little more
A
behind the
little more fun.
scenes, vulnerability, a little more fun. I like that more than vulnerability.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. But
Robin,
make sure what you're
thank you.
writing is worthwhile and
Yep.
it's going to compel people to read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just a few things to think about. No big deal.
Few things.
Robin, this was awesome. Thank you for, as always, I've got ideas about how I can improve things. I wanted to mention again, if you weren't here at the beginning, we do these Monday makeovers every month and we're looking for volunteers. So if you have a website that you would like Robin's expert eye on, any specific page, we would love to hear from you. Leave a comment under the video and we'll try to have you on a future makeover Monday so that Robin can help you make your website better and ultimately get more clients and make more money. That's really the goal of
Absolutely.
having a website or a blog in
It
this
sure is.
capacity.
It
All
sure
right.
is.
Thank you, Robin. We will see you back here next